Congratulations on getting a new HX Stomp. When I got mine, I had no idea what to do with it. There's a lot going on in there, but it's important to know where to fit it into your rig. So I've already banged my head against the wall, read the manual, figured it all out. And so if you want to save yourself some time, you can do what I do here. I've got a bit of a complicated rig. I use my amps effects loop. I have many pedals, and they're all kind of doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's not stereo, that's probably the only way that it could be more complicated, but if you have a mono effects rig and you're using your amps effects loop, pay attention to this video. This will save you a lot of time and headache. The only kind of weird thing that you're gonna need is an insert cable. An insert cable basically has a stereo TRS 1/4-inch jack right here on one end. It splits out to two cables with just standard tip sleeve or TS connectors. I got these ones from EBS. I love them. They're super great. I have a few of them. In order to properly set things up, you're going to need one of these cables. So go grab one. I'll link to the ones that I use. So I'm going to give you a rundown of how I like to wire my HX Stomp. I believe that this setup gives you the maximum amount of flexibility to move things around, find out what pedals go in front of other pedals. There are some assumptions built into this based off some things that are quite common, but this is going to give you the maximum amount of flexibility within your HX Stomp, and also potentially even using pedals outside of your HX Stomp as well. So out of my guitar, I've got this raw input. It goes into the main input of the HX Stomp. I believe it is the left input. From here, this is probably the most complicated part. Insert cable right here. Silly looking thing. You can see that I've got a stereo tip ring sleeve or TRS cable here. And so what you want to do is you want to plug this into this on the stereo side of this. And then with the tip side, this side right here, you want to go into your octave and dirt pedals. I like to put my octave stuff up front. Some people don't like to. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But this is how I do it because I think it sounds good. So octave first, then into my dirt stuff here, or boosts or overdrives, whatever. And then I actually treat my preamp on my amp as another dirt pedal, really. It's kind of like the last ultimate dirt pedal in my signal chain. And so my signal goes through here, and then it comes back out of the preamp from the effects loop send on the back side of my amp. And you can see I have a color-coded yellow here because this whole thing encompasses the left effects loop inside of your amp. So it goes into the left return jack on your HX Stomp here. Okay, so then from here, we're going to talk about the ring side of your insert cable here. The ring side of your insert cable, you're going to want to go into your modulation, delay, and reverb pedals. So I usually put it in that order. If you don't want to do that, or you want to reorder these, have at it, but this is what I think ends up sounding best. Modulation, delay, reverb. So from here, I actually go back into the right return of the HX Stomp. That's the third little jack on the right-hand side here. So from here, we've got both our octave and dirt, modulation, delay, and reverb, and then we go back out to the amp. So the power amp with this green line right here. Sorry if you're colorblind. We go back into the return of the effects loop here, and that gets into the power amp, and that goes out to your speakers from there. Okay, so I'll show you a little bit more on the HX Stomp itself, or why I have things wired this way, but I believe that this will give you the maximum amount of flexibility with your setup. In order to get your effects loops set up on your HX Stomp, you want to find an empty patch and just hit this lower button right here. And you can scroll down to the very bottom, and we'll go down to send a return, hit this button again, we'll choose mono, and then scroll down again, and we'll do effects loop L first.
This is your drive pedals and your preamp for your amp, if you have things set up the way that I do. And then all we have to do is do that again in the next patch, scroll down, send and return, mono, and all that's left is FX loop R. Now you want to make sure to do the one with both arrows going in and out. You can do the send R and return R separately and put things in between them if you want to, but for our purposes, this is just a little bit simpler, just to take up a single block for each one. And these ones are going to be all your modulation, delay, and reverb patches. So here's where things start to get a little bit interesting. If I'm on my HX Stomp and I hit the home button and I look at how I have this thing configured here, on the far left, I just have a basic compressor, I have a ring modulator, and then I have my first effects loop, the left effects loop. Now this left effects loop has all my drive stuff in it. So, you know, the fuzzes, all the fuzzes, even the metal zone, let's get weird with it, you know? All that stuff and the preamp are inside this loop right here. Now what's cool about that is if you ever want to record out of your HX Stomp, this is why you want all your stuff running through the HX Stomp, but you want your preamp of your amplifier inside your HX Stomp, because then you can hook into here and actually record straight out of your HX Stomp. You can throw in a cab simulator, you'll have your sound inside of this pedal, which is really, really, really cool. So no miking, just very uncomplicated, but very much your rig with all your pedals. So that's the first effects loop right here. And I've got these other pedals and these other patches even, but also pedals. And I can experiment with what they sound like before and after these drive pedals. So for example, I've got this Univibe here, and we'll go ahead and I'll turn the volume up here. So I've got an after drive. I don't have any drive on right now, but let's throw some drive on. I'll throw this 1981. Sounds okay. So let's move the Univibe before all my drive pedals, and let's see what that sounds like here. So I'll turn it back up again. Not that big of a deal on that one, but one really good example. So I'll go ahead and turn my volume down again. I have a tremolo that's actually hooked up to this expression pedal. And so if I go ahead and I push all the way down on here, I'm going to turn this drive off. So if I push this down and go boop, now I have a tremolo, and you can hear it kind of going a little bit in the background maybe, but what's sweet is I can change the rate of this by moving the expression pedal. But the whole point of showing you this is that where I have this tremolo in the signal chain really, really makes a big difference to how this whole thing sounds. So maybe I'll throw some reverb on here. So turn that on, and then I'll go ahead and throw some drive back on here. And then I'll go ahead and play something real quick. So okay, now if I move this, I can move it ahead of the drive. I get a totally different sound out of that whole thing. So speaking of this volume pedal, or this expression pedal, I love the fact that I can take an expression pedal and I can set a volume patch here, and I can pick it up and I can move it anywhere in the chain. Sometimes it's really hard to know where to go with that. The next important thing is the right effects loop. So this has all the modulation, all the delay, and all of the reverb stuff in it. If you've ever wanted to try reverb before fuzz, but you don't want to rewire your whole pedal board, well, now you can. So let's say I've still got my reverb on over here. I'll turn this one on. So this is a fuzz into a reverb. This is the standard sort of order of this. So now I can actually pick up this reverb out of the effects loop R, and I can move it in front of all my drive stuff. And now, let's see what that sounds like. I've never done this before, so hold on to your butts. So I'll turn back up. That was wild, and I kind of liked it. I can kind of move this stuff wherever I want. It's really, really nice to be able to play with all this stuff and move it around and have complete control over your entire board just with this main central station right here. Okay, so that's it. If you want to know more, if you want to look at that Figma file where I have all that diagrammed out, I'll link it in the notes down below. And I really don't care if you subscribe. This is just for fun. So enjoy your life. Move on. See you later.